Hey guys, so we actually did make it to a fourth part of the modular videos. This is something I wanted to bring up yesterday and I just didn't have it ready. And so I finished it up this morning and I've got it all hooked up, and I'm just going to give you guys another little demo here of another edition of the modular. So what we have is the 956 ribbon controller. And this is an accessory that came with this unit. It's got a trigger bus, which is capacitive touch, and it's got the ribbon up here, which is how you actually change pitch or CV, whatever you're controlling with it. And it's just a really cool addition to the synthesizer. Now the way I've got this thing set up is actually it's basically two entities. So it's actually two synthesizers in one cabinet, the way I've got it hooked up right now. So what I've done, and this also probably help explain some things that I hadn't really gone over as well on this module, or the modular. So the difference between Moog and a lot of the other brands is that Moog hardwired things in the harness. For example, your S trigger going to your envelope generators, they've got hardwire. They actually can be hardwired to the VCAs, so because that's typically what you're going to control with the envelope generators. That brings us down to this section right here. So you've got three channels. Also, you can actually plug three different things into this thing and route them in different ways by these switches. So these are the switches I was talking about yesterday. It lights up. So one is actually the keyboard. That's number one. That's the one that's typically used by the keyboard CV. And then we've got two, which is actually used by the ribbon. It's actually got a big old cannon jack on the back that plugs into. That's two. And then three is just standalone. So you can plug things into three and route it. So what I've done here is I've actually broken the circuitry, so to speak. I've broken the harness to where two and one are no longer connected. They're usually coupled together using a switch right here. So by flipping this switch off, that breaks the connection of 1 and 2 for the trigger, but then I also flip off the 911 trigger to 1 here as well. So what that does, that completely oscillates isolates the actual envelope generator from the S-Trig 1. And then I manually route an S-Trig signal to that envelope generator, which is controlling this VCA, which is the same setup I had yesterday, where I'm using the 921. I was using the 921B yesterday, but today I'm using the 921 into the fixed filter bank, VCA, and then out to the reverb unit. Meanwhile, the other two oscillators are going into the VCA, the low pass filter, into the VCA here, and then being controlled by the other envelope generator, which is still in the bus 1. So what that does is it gives us two synthesizers. So if I trigger the ribbon, you can hear the 921. I've got a little modulation on there from this module I built, so just using it for a little vibrato. If I play the keyboard, so you can hear they're two separate pieces. And to look at that, how I've got this set up, so I've got the 921Bs selected to 1, which is the keyboard. The 921 here is 2 only. I've got 1 off. And that allows us to route things in a way. The filter is also being controlled by the keyboard still, the tracking of the filter. So let me put the camera on the tripod and I'll give you guys a demo. So like I said, I know it's kind of a weird video, but so we got the keyboard. Anyways, you can see how that works. So it's just really rough because I hadn't taught myself this ribbon that well. You have to actually kind of get a feel for it because it's fretless. So it would be like playing a fretless bass or a violin or whatever, because you have no reference to where you're at on the scale. So you just kind of have to listen and get a feel for it. The more you use it, of course, the better you'll get. But I'll show you here, we got a scale control. So we can actually bring it way up there. We can set it for a lower frequency. So that's how that works. We can also go in and put it back in line with the keyboard. So now we can actually trigger. We're here to trigger that now. We'll turn that on. Now we'll control all oscillators with the ribbon. At the same time, we can turn the keyboard on and do some really crazy stuff. Cut that off. So now we'll just control just the filter with this, so you can actually do like some sample and hold patterns. What I just did there, I just killed the connection to the other trigger there, so we don't trigger it from the keyboard, but I can still put them both on. Anyways, that's the ribbon. So it's a really cool addition to the synthesizer, because you can, if you get really talented with it, you can play it kind of like a theremin. Kind of a very similar kind of approach. And of course, with that vibrato I'm adding using this module I built, it adds a lot to that as well. But anyways, I just want to take a minute here and show you the 956 ribbon controller. I knew some of you guys might find that very interesting, and it's part of the system, so I had to share it anyways. But once again, Andrew, appreciate you letting me work on this thing for you, and appreciate you guys watching, and there'll be more to come here very soon. Take care.